The man abandoned the top-tier blade demon Artrox, only to turn and choose an ugly, bloated mother bug. The classmates around me immediately burst into laughter, mocking me as a complete fool. But I couldn't care less, because I knew very well, this bug before me was once the mother of 10,000, a creature that had destroyed an entire era. As long as it could devour enough energy, it could spawn an endless swarm for me. This was a world overrun by monsters. 300 years ago, the heavenly Tao manifested over Blue Star, expanding in size tens of thousands of times. With it came powerful beasts and mysterious dungeons. Fortunately, the first generation of Awakened tore through everything, destroyed the portal above Blue Star, and saved humanity from extinction. To prevent such a disaster from happening again, nations began training new generations of professionals. At 18, everyone could undergo an awakening to find their destined class. And today was the annual awakening ceremony. Some awakened into the most desired battle professions, like the Demon Swordmaster. Others, however, were unlucky, awakening into the most useless life classes, like construction worker. When my turn came, the skies above the city roared with thunder. The students below were shocked beyond words, and the principal rushed to me, trembling with excitement. "Hurry, tell me. What kind of miraculous class have you awakened?" he demanded. But when I calmly answered that it wasn't a combat profession, his face faltered. "Then, is it support? If it's a god-tier support class, that's still incredible." I had no choice but to reveal my ability. I had awakened into a life profession, god-tier spirit tamer. The moment the words left my lips, the principal's excitement collapsed into disappointment. After all, life classes had almost no combat power, god-tier or not. My classmates, who had just been full of awe, erupted into laughter again. With all that heavenly thunder, we thought it was some godly profession. Turns out he's just a useless life class loser. Feigning embarrassment, I stepped down from the stage. But deep inside, I smiled. For I had also awakened the Swarm Catastrophe system, and my god-tier Spirit Tamer class was the perfect match. I gained 3 innate talents, each designed to strengthen and evolve my swarm. With my class finalized, my first mother bug was unlocked, appearing in my consciousness, towering and crimson. The system chimed. This creature once destroyed the third era. As a god-tier Spirit Tamer, you may evolve it further. The first evolution required no cost. I agreed immediately. A flash of blinding light followed, and the massive bug vanished. In its place stood a girl, exuding a sinister aura. She leapt into my arms. "Master, Little Nine has evolved." Her sudden embrace made my face burn red. I hadn't expected the mother bug to evolve into human form. The system confirmed it. Little Nine has completed a life leap. She now possesses the Spirit Tamer's gift, accelerating devouring growth, and a new skill, Backfeed, sharing tenfold experience with the host. With this, who cared about combat professions? As long as my devouring speed was fast enough, forming a swarm army was only a matter of time. Still, I had to keep my power secret. A century ago, 12 human kings had sacrificed 9 of their own just to seal the swarm's progenitor. If anyone learned of Little Nine's return, chaos would erupt. For now, she would remain disguised. Suddenly, she stiffened. "Master, danger is approaching." My awareness snapped back to reality. Before me stood a massive, muscular student. "That heavenly phenomenon, was it caused by you?" he demanded, his presence pressing down like a mountain. He was at least a Grandmaster-level powerhouse. In my sea of consciousness, Little Nine whispered eagerly, "Master, he's a threat. And he looks delicious. Can I eat him?" The system blared warnings. Motherbug senses threat to host. Beginning Devour protocol. A chilling aura erupted uncontrollably from my body, nearly knocking everyone nearby off their feet. I barely managed to suppress it. The man's eyes widened, then softened into approval. "Not bad, kid. To withstand my pressure right after awakening, your future is limitless. I am John Steele, commander of the Night Watch. How about joining us?" The Night Watch, an organization dedicated to defending humanity against monster tides and dungeon outbreaks. Most feared them, for their death rate was the highest. But to me, it was the perfect chance. Little Nine needed monsters to devour. Without hesitation, I agreed. John was stunned by my decisiveness, but eventually accepted it with joy. I promised to report in 3 days. Not long after I left, 2 elders approached him. "Where's that god-tier life class boy? You didn't recruit him into the Night Watch, did you? That's sending him to his death." When John realized my profession was life-based, his jaw nearly hit the ground. Meanwhile, my Uncle William and others also learned the heavenly phenomenon was caused by me. Though surprised, Uncle William reassured me. "Even if it's a life class, awakening god tier is already amazing. Come, I'll take you into a beginner dungeon to level up." But as soon as we entered, things went wrong. The supposed beginner dungeon auto-adjusted into a C-rank undead temple. I quickly understood. It was because I was a god tier awakened. The system matched me to higher difficulties. Uncle William was shocked, but far from afraid. With a shout, he cleaved down undead while calling for support buffs. Little Nine grew restless, begging to devour. I let her loose in the form of venomous tendrils, instantly dissolving an undead. Unfortunately, The monster's level was too low, granting little devouring value. While she fed, Uncle William pushed deeper with the others. To avoid friendly fire, I decided to let her consume more monsters before catching up. Then Little Nine sensed stronger prey nearby, a level 10 Shadow Stalker. Perfect, I muttered, testing my venom staff technique. I lunged forward, coating the monster in venom before detonating it in a toxic explosion. The devour value soared. But more enemies swarmed, and I worried for Uncle William's team. Sure enough, they were soon surrounded. At the last moment, I arrived, dissolving an undead with my venom staff. Uncle William stared, stunned. Alex, didn't you awaken a life class? I laughed awkwardly. I have a hidden skill. I urged his companion Lucy to retreat with him, while I held the line. Uncle William reluctantly tossed me his sword. Alex, you must survive. Channeling venom through the blade, I unleashed waves of toxic slashes, shredding the undead horde. Not only was I top of the class in academics, but also in swordsmanship. With Little Nine, my power surged even further. But just as victory seemed certain, a shadow descended from above, striking straight at me. I barely dodged in time. Before I could steady myself, another strike came crashing down. The sheer force shattered the longsword Uncle William had passed down to me. This had to be the boss of the dungeon. Facing the undead lord, whose level and stats far outstripped mine, I had no choice but to summon Little Nine. With just a squeeze of a tiny hand, the undead lord's massive sword crumbled like dust. A terrifying aura burst forth from her, but the undead lord, blind to his own doom, still charged at her. 2 seconds later, he was reduced to nothing but a severed head. Just as I thought the dungeon was over, a glowing blue crystal shot out of the undead lord's corpse, greedily absorbing the lingering magic from the bodies around us. In the next instant, a towering level 20 undead tyrant manifested before me. So that crystal was the true dungeon core. I ordered Little Nine to destroy it at once. But the tyrant, despite its massive size, moved with shocking speed, dodging her attacks with ease. Quickly, I realized another way. My spirit tamer senses picked up countless plants hidden beneath the soil. If I used my innate skill, I could manipulate them to trap the monster. Seizing the moment, I activated Growth of All Things. In a flash, endless vines erupted from the ground, entangling the undead tyrant before it could react. Immobilized, it became an easy target. With one devastating strike from Little Nine, it shattered into countless fragments. I lunged forward, seized the core, and crushed it in my hand. Congratulations, you have cleared the C-rank dungeon, Undead Temple. The settlement began, granting me an S-rank evaluation and 5 pieces of equipment. Among them was a dagger of exceptional quality, perfect to replace the weapon Uncle William had lost. With dungeon rewards distributed, the flood of experience surged in. Coupled with Little Nine's experience feedback, my level instantly shot up to 6. Then, Little Nine asked shyly, Master, as a reward, can I eat all this equipment? I quickly refused. Those are for Uncle William and the others to exchange for money. But you can devour the tyrant's corpse. I glanced at the colossal carcass, worried she might not be able to consume something so huge. But my concern was unnecessary. Little Nine beamed, opened her cherry lips, and reverted to her true form. She pounced on the body, tearing into it ravenously. The devour value skyrocketed, though the noise she made was almost too loud. Once the rewards were handed over, I told the others I would soon be joining the night watch, and I had to head into the wild immediately to continue leveling. They were stunned, worried sick for my safety, but after recalling how I had just cleared the undead temple alone, they reluctantly respected my decision. 2.5 hours later, I boarded the wilderness train and arrived at the outer city. Uncle William had explained that due to the Heavenly Tao's influence, all electronics malfunctioned in the wild, and monsters constantly shifted their nests. That made maps nearly useless without the latest intel. Finding clusters of monsters, or a boss lair, was extremely difficult. Currently, Firebird and Thunder Lizard dungeons were overcrowded, which carried risks of exposure. The Goblin dungeon was the best choice. Low level, plenty of monsters, and most importantly, fewer people. Just as I was heading there, a man suddenly shouted at me. Hey, you with the hat. Stop right there. Have you seen a blonde woman? Annoyed by his arrogant tone, I didn't bother answering. Instead, I let Little Nine's venom coat his body. His eyes went wide in shock. He was a level 27 defensive warrior, yet I, not even level 10, had managed to wound him. Better find a healer fast, I smirked. My poison isn't easy to cure. Oh, and have them fix your brain while they're at it. I turned to leave, but he blocked me again, even more aggressive. You little brat. Do you know who I am? I'm from the Shaw family. Are you tired of living? He lunged with an attack, but I dodged in time. I didn't know much about the Shaw family, but his arrogance was reason enough not to waste more time here. Then a cold voice rang out from behind him. Idiot. What are you doing? Didn't I tell you to keep a low profile? A tall man with blue hair appeared, striking fear into the arrogant warrior, who trembled. The newcomer punched him hard in the jaw. Useless trash. You're nothing but a dog of the Shaw family. Don't you dare throw around our name. I immediately grew wary. I hadn't sensed his approach at all. He was far more dangerous than the warrior. He offered me an apology and even compensation, but I refused coldly. Then he suggested we travel into the wilderness together. I declined again, saying I preferred to move alone. What I didn't realize was that he had already seen through my abilities completely. Hours later, I found myself walking down a foggy path. According to the map, this was supposed to lead to the goblin nest, but no matter how long I walked, I couldn't reach the end. Even the monsters that had appeared frequently before were becoming fewer. Then, light rain began to fall, laced with magical energy. I glanced back and saw a giant spider about to ambush me. "Master, do you need me to take care of it?" Little Nine asked. I shook my head. "No need. It's just a big bug." With a heavy punch, I knocked it flat. But before I could catch my breath, Little Nine warned that more monsters were approaching. Soon, glowing eyes filled the mist around me. "Good," I said. "Time for you to feast." The advantage of hunting in the wild was that experience was gained instantly, unlike dungeons where you only settled at the end. As Little Nine prepared to devour the growing pile of corpses, she suddenly twitched. "Master, I smell something delicious." If it caught her interest, it was likely a boss. I ordered her to attack. But instead of a monster's roar, a girl's angry shout rang out. Curious, I approached and was stunned. There on the ground lay a disheveled young woman. She stirred and, seeing me, scrambled back in panic, checking herself for injuries. "Who are you? Was it you who attacked me?" I quickly apologized. "Sorry, I mistook you for a monster." After scolding me, her eyes darted to a ring on her finger, her face turning pale. "Damn, I've lost too much time. They'll catch up, I need to run." I asked if she needed help, but she hesitated, muttering that she wasn't good at fighting and would retreat because there are just a few monsters ahead. Then she left in a hurry. I couldn't help but scoff inwardly. Her acting was terrible. If there really were monsters ahead, fine, I could use them to level. But if it was other awakened, that would be troublesome. The wild was lawless, and killings weren't rare. Little Nine suddenly piped up. "Master, there's lots of delicious prey ahead." Relieved, I pressed on. But when I saw the sheer number of spider monsters, my eyes widened. So this was her idea of a few monsters. I coated my twin blades with Little Nine's venom and rushed in like lightning. But I quickly realized something was off. These spiders weren't just stronger, they coordinated, ambushed, and rotated their attacks. A boss had to be commanding them. If I didn't take out the leader, this would drag on endlessly. Then Little Nine whispered, furious, "Master, I can understand them. They're challenging you." Her rage exploded. Lowly beasts dare challenge my master. Her roar severed their link to the boss, plunging the swarm into chaos. Their tight formation collapsed into disarray, and I cut through like a blade through silk, reaching the boss in moments. The boss's eyes went wide with terror, but I gave no quarter. With one venom charge strike, I pierced its skull. Level up. My strength surged to level 14, with a combat rating of 127, on par with a level 25 combat awakened. When Little Nine devoured the boss, her devour value finally reached the threshold to spawn the first brood. What shocked me most was that my talent accelerated the process. In under 2 minutes, the first generation of swarm offspring had already been born. I stood frozen, staring at the scene in disbelief. Because right beside me, more than 2,300 broodlings were swarming, making the entire ground tremble. I hadn't expected that Little Nine's very first reproduction could yield over 2,000 offspring. The rise of a Zerg army was now within reach. Just then, a strange totem engraved itself on the back of my left hand. It was the mark of the brood. Along with it came 2 unique skills. After experimenting, I discovered that the totem contained an infinite inner space where both Little Nine and her offspring could be stored. One of the new skills was called Dominate, allowing me to control the swarm at will and even share the senses of any single broodling. Nothing around me could escape my perception. With just a moment of focus, I commanded the swarm to scour the surrounding area. In mere minutes, every monster within several miles was wiped clean. Just as I was getting excited about triggering the second brood cycle, reality struck me hard. The next reproduction required a staggering 1 million devour points. The next day, a band of mercenaries arrived, tasked with collecting wolf demon pearls for a poison-related mission. But after combing the area, they were dumbfounded. The entire spider nest had been utterly annihilated in a way that left no trace of pearls behind. It was then I strolled calmly into their view. I'm a newly advanced awakened, here to level up. I'd like to trade for some food. Their leader smirked, thinking to take advantage of me to recoup their wasted trip. Kid, food in the wild isn't cheap. You'd better have something good to offer. I only smiled and pulled a few corpses from my pack, laying them at their feet. Their eyes went wide with fear. These were the wolf demon pearls they had been desperately searching for, which meant the mysterious figure who had eradicated the spider nest was likely standing right before them. Their arrogance evaporated instantly, and after a quick trade, they fled without looking back. But with the devour cost for brood cycle skyrocketing, even boss monsters could no longer provide enough points. Clearing out every open nest nearby still wouldn't be enough. The only viable path now was to report to the Night Watch headquarters, who held access to countless undisclosed dungeons and lairs. As I mulled it over, Something slammed into my back. I turned and saw the same disheveled girl I had accidentally injured before. She looked at me pitifully and begged, "Please, don't tell anyone you saw me." Then she hurried off to hide. Only then did I realize she must be the very target the Shaw family was hunting. Sure enough, moments later, the blue-haired man appeared with a squad of black-clad followers. Well, kid, he sneered. Didn't expect you to level so fast. Not even a full day, and you're already level 16. I'm interested in you, but I've got more important matters right now. Have you seen a black-haired girl? I casually pointed behind me. Someone did just run past, but I'm not sure if she's the one you're after. He stuttered me, then stood slowly. Fine. I'll believe you for now. But don't play games. If I find out you helped her, the Shaw family won't let you live. Even across all of Dragon Country, we are one of the top clans. Our ancestors were founders of this nation. Whenever we appear, disaster follows. Being on our bad side is the last mistake you'll ever make. As soon as they left, the girl slipped out of hiding. Before she could speak, I grabbed her by the arm. Last time you nearly tricked me. Now, because of you, I've provoked the Shaw family. Tell me the truth. What did you do? Panicked, she explained. My family runs a freight station. The Shaws entrusted us to deliver goods, but one of their young masters staged a rebellion and stole everything. To cover their shame, they've been chasing me relentlessly. Hearing this, I turned to leave without hesitation. My first trip into the wilderness, and I'd already stepped into a mess like this. Suddenly, the girl's face paled. No, they left a barrier sigil earlier. They've already detected us. Sure enough, the blue-haired man stormed back with his men. I knew you were lying. Hand over the girl, and I'll spare your life. The girl cried out, You already stole everything from my family. Must you go so far? If you kill me, the Ross family will never let this rest. The man, Xavier Shaw, sneered. The Ross family? Just another second-rate clan with some money. Without my ancestors' protection a century ago, your kind would have been wiped out. In my eyes, you're no different from vermin. Red lightning crackled from his palm as runes wove together into a barrier, trapping us inside. This is a god-tier life skill. Few can use it, but I can. Kid, I'll give you a chance. Hand over the girl, and I'll let you join the Shaws. I smirked. Tempting offer. But sorry, I'm not anyone's servant. His face darkened, and he gave the order to kill us all. I snorted coldly and unleashed growth of all things. Thick vines burst from the earth, binding his black-clad lackeys midair. Before they could free themselves, I summoned the long-slumbering swarm. In an instant, the mercenaries were ripped apart by countless broodlings. Xavier finally drew his sword, chanting, Ethereal 9 lives, first life, dragon sketch. A phantom dragon coiled above me. But before I could react, the girl revealed her true power. She was the hidden eternal shield, the strongest defensive class. She withstood the strike head-on. While Xavier was stunned, I ordered the swarm to attack. He panicked, grabbing one of his own men to use as a shield. The poor soul was killed instantly. Xavier shoved a precious elixir into his mouth, restoring his strength. I underestimated you. Forcing me to use the Shaw family's secret medicine in this wilderness. Impressive. He launched his second move, Dragon-Slaying Strike. The girl raised her strongest defense, but even she began to falter under his enhanced assault. My eyes hardened. Against someone this ruthless and powerful, mercy was not an option. I released a torrent of black mist. All 2,300 broodlings erupted forth at once. Xavier's face twisted in disbelief. This kid, he's not just a life class. He swung his blade desperately, scoffing that numbers meant nothing, that bugs could be crushed at will. I only sneered as fallen broodlings instantly reformed. Even the phantom dragon he had summoned was devoured before it could unleash its power. Fear crept down his spine. He had never seen such an unnatural swarm. Then he crushed a jade talisman, and a radiant shield enveloped him. This is the Shaw family's ancestral fate relic. With it, no attack can harm me. You can't win. He staggered closer, battered but arrogant. One last chance. Swear loyalty to me, and I'll grant you the Shaw name. Refuse, and though I can't kill you today, tomorrow you'll die by my hand. I narrowed my eyes. Seems you still don't understand the situation. A massive claw suddenly crashed down from above. Xavier looked up in horror to see an enormous beast looming overhead. With a single snap, the fate relic he was so proud of shattered like glass. His eyes went wide, his face twisted with disbelief. Impossible. The Shaw family's destiny is unmatched under heaven. To keep the Shaws from finding a single trace, I gave the order and Little Nine reduced him to ashes on spot. The girl beside me stood frozen, unable to speak, terrified I might silence her as well. I walked slowly toward her and demanded she give me a reason not to kill her. She quickly bowed, her tone respectful. This is everything I own, valued in the tens of millions. It's all yours. I nodded slightly. You're sincere. But the problem is, you know too much. And you already lied to me once. Panic spread across her face. She blurted, I, Rosa, swear to the heavens, If I ever speak a single lie to my benefactor, may lightning strike me down on the spot. I raised an eyebrow. Rosa. That's your name. You lie without even thinking, don't you? Seeing my doubt, she hurriedly pulled out her ID. I really am Rosa. I glanced at the photo and frowned. Are you sure this is you? She grabbed her hair anxiously. That picture was taken 2.5 years ago when I was underage. I still had baby fat, so I looked different. Even so, I wasn't convinced she could keep my secret. Noticing my hesitation, she produced a scroll. This is a seal scroll. If I ever break my oath, it'll automatically trigger a warning. With this, you don't need to worry about me leaking anything. A scroll like this was something I'd never heard of. But with it, I could rest easy. I decided to spare her life. Then I turned, ready to head for the Night Watch headquarters. Wait, Rosa called after me. At least let me go home first. My family has a teleportation hub. We can use it to get you to headquarters much faster. I agreed and escorted her safely back to the Ross estate. When her father, Robert Ross, heard what had happened, he was furious and wanted to confront the Shaws. But her grandfather quickly stopped him, warning that the Shaws' influence in Dragon Country was far too great for merchants like them to provoke. Instead, Robert handed me a black card with a grateful smile. I didn't refuse. Resources were exactly what I needed most right now, and this card would solve my immediate problems. After exchanging a look, Robert and Rosa's grandfather both suddenly turned the conversation in a different direction. Jack, you don't have a girlfriend, do you? Perfect. Rosa doesn't have a boyfriend either. She's smart, manages money well, and most importantly, her figure is flawless. 36, 24, 36. You two are a perfect match. I nearly choked. With an awkward smile, I excused myself and left before they could push the matter further. Using the Ross family's teleportation hub, I soon arrived at the Night Watch headquarters. Commander Jason greeted me warmly, throwing an arm around my shoulders as he introduced the team. This is Claire, a level 45 healer, the youngest in our ranks before you joined. Cold personality, but reliable. Next, Ethan, a level 49 archer, proud and sharp-tongued. Over there is Logan, small in build but a rock-solid level 49 tank. And last, meet Tanya, a level 61 fire mage, 3-time advanced class, and our deputy commander. You can call her Aunt Tanya. Their enthusiasm and warmth caught me off guard, stirring something deep inside. Thank you, everyone. But I'm just a life class professional. I might not be of much help. Jason only laughed. Don't be ridiculous. The Night Watch treats everyone equally. Besides, you're a god-tier class. From today, this is your second home. I felt a pang of guilt. My original plan had been to join only to get some resources while keeping my true strength hidden. Jason clapped my shoulder again. There's an upcoming training camp in 3 days, the Prodigy camp. You should sign up. Plenty of resources to be gained, and it'll serve as your first test. But there's a catch. You need to be at least level 20. How close are you? I'm already level 17, I replied calmly. Reaching 20 won't be difficult. Jason's eyes widened. 17. Already. You only awakened a few days ago. I knew it. You really are god-tier talent. I'll get you signed up right away. Just then, everyone's expressions hardened. At Jason's signal, Claire raised a hand and cast a silence barrier to block any probing eyes. Jason leaned closer. Jack, have you provoked a powerful enemy recently? Just now, a level 3 master tried using a divine stone to track you. I hesitated, but Jason gripped my shoulder firmly. Don't worry. Whatever it is, we'll face it together. After a moment's struggle, I confessed. I killed Xavier Shaw. The moment the Shaw name left my lips, everyone went silent. Their faces grew grim. Jason finally spoke. So it was Xavier. He was the grandson of Sean Shaw, the level 8 national defender. No wonder the divine stone was used. My chest tightened. If this brings danger to all of you. Jason shook his head. The Shaws have been running rampant for years, their younger generation committing countless atrocities. You've done the world a favor by taking one out. And Xavier was the least favored of them all, an outcast. Sean Shaw himself might not even bother avenging him. We still have a fighting chance. Their words warmed my heart. For the first time since childhood, I felt what it meant to belong to a family. Then Jason tilted his head, suddenly suspicious. Wait a second. You're a level 17 life class professional. How did you defeat a level 32nd tier combat class like Xavier? I admitted, I didn't fight alone. Rosa was with me. She's from the Ross family and awakened the Eternal Shield, the hidden defensive class. Everyone nodded in understanding. The Ross family was the wealthiest in the South, and their only daughter was bound to have no shortage of rare treasures. If the Shaws pressed the issue, the Ross family would never stand by idly. But Jason still frowned. Even so, Rosa's defense may be strong, but she lacks offense. Xavier had overwhelming attack power. How did you actually kill him? I sighed and chose not to hide it any longer. Because I'm a dual class. Alongside my god-tier life class, I also awakened a hidden poison class. Jason's jaw dropped before breaking into laughter. You little monster. How many surprises are you hiding? But then his face grew serious again. Even so, Jack, with the Shaws involved, it's better not to join the Prodigy camp. The resources are tempting, yes, but the Shaws' prodigies will definitely be there too. There's no need to take such a risk. My ears caught only one word, resources. Uncle Jason, what kind of resources are we talking about? Enough to draw the Shaws themselves. Jason shrugged. Mostly beast blood, gear, the usual. But for the top performers, there are special prizes, mystical fruits, ancient scrolls, treasures beyond measure. My pupils contracted. Compared to hunting beasts myself, these rewards were far superior. With them, my swarm could reach its second cycle of reproduction. I straightened, looking Jason in the eye. No matter the danger, I must enter the Prodigy camp. This is my chance to temper myself, and I have full confidence I'll survive the Shaw schemes. Meanwhile, at the Shaw estate, word had already reached their strongest heir, Nicholas Shaw. His subordinates reported. Xavier had a conflict with a woman named Rosa Ross. Recently, she's been traveling with a man named Jack Chen, a newly awakened God-tier life class. He's currently with the Night Watch. Both Rosa and Jack have signed up for the Prodigy camp. Nicholas leaned back, deep in thought. Rosa. She awakened a hidden defense class, but she has no offensive ability. That means this Jack Chen is the real threat. No matter. If they're both signed up, I'll take care of them personally in the Prodigy camp. The next day came quickly. Still uneasy about me, Jason arranged an ally to accompany me, Autumn Moore, the treasured daughter of the Moore family, newly crowned a level 7 titled warrior. Before sending me to the camp, Jason urged me to join her for a dungeon run first. It would strengthen me and build good relations. Then he grabbed me by the collar, smirking. Listen, Jack. People say Autumn is not only drop-dead gorgeous but also your age. When she gets here, you'd better seize the opportunity. At that moment, the office doors swung open, and in walked an elder and a young woman. Autumn Moore's beauty was dazzling, but her first words were sharp. Yesterday, I asked Uncle Lee to borrow someone from the Night Watch for a dungeon run. He said manpower was too tight. Yet today, you suddenly have people to spare. Jason laughed and pulled me closer. Yesterday, I refused because I was mad at your grandfather. Today I agree, on one condition. Jack here has to go with you. Autumn stepped forward, studying me intently. Fine. Tell me your combat strength. I didn't hide it. 17. Life class. Her expression darkened instantly. You dragged me all the way here, for a level 17 life class. She clenched her fists. I came looking for a partner I could fight alongside, not some weakling. Not looking for some freeloading life class slacker here. Jason's face darkened at Autumn's rudeness, and he snapped. You little brat. First you barge in here without even greeting me, and now you've got the nerve to talk like that? Jack isn't just a god-tier life class, he's also a dual-class professional. Uncle Lee, who had entered with Autumn, quickly stepped in to smooth things over. Easy now, Jason. Let's not fight. Autumn's been in a bad mood lately. She just got dumped by her boyfriend, so a little attitude is understandable. I couldn't help but chuckle. That was unexpected. Autumn, however, cut him off quickly, afraid Uncle Lee might say too much. She agreed to the arrangement, and before long I followed Ethan and the others to the secret realm. This dungeon was a level 30 scenario called Bright Village. To clear it, we had to wipe out all the monsters, kill the boss, and destroy the altar. Ethan was leading the team and reminded us that if anyone got into danger, they should immediately return to the teleportation hub. Mutations in secret realms were rare, but not impossible, and he couldn't guarantee everyone's safety. Autumn, still holding a grudge, threw me a mocking glance. Rookie, don't go crying for mommy the moment we step inside and drag us down. I ignored her, though an uneasy feeling gnawed at me. Something about this dungeon felt wrong. What was strange was that, despite it being a level 30 instance, not a single monster was in sight. Ethan guessed they were hiding inside the houses, so would have to search them one by one. As soon as we entered the village, we spotted a stone monument. Ethan felt something off and ordered us to stop. Claire, our healer, quickly noticed it too. This village, something's not right. The aura here makes me sick. She cast a blessing on us, and under the glow of her holy light, I felt sharper, more energetic, my mind clearer than before. But before I could savor the effect, the bright sky suddenly darkened, black mist gathering above us before rushing straight into the stone monument. The inscriptions on it turned blood red. Before we could teleport out, the system announcement echoed. Bright Village has mutated. Its new name is Necrotic Village. Objective: eliminate all undead and destroy the altar. At the same time, the black mist scattered us, teleporting each of us to different corners of the village. Remembering Ethan's warning, I decided to head straight back to the teleport hub. But when I kicked open the nearest door, what I saw made me freeze. Coffins covered the floor, blood-red lanterns swayed overhead, and a portrait of an old man hung on the wall. To my shock, the solemn face in the painting twisted into a grotesque smile. My gut clenched. Was I imagining it, or was he smiling at me? The next second, All the coffin lids flew open, and undead began crawling out. The system notified me they were level 30 undead immune to regular physical attacks. I braced myself for battle, wondering if my poison would even work. I released my toxic swarm as smoke and used the cover to dart outside. The undead seemed unharmed. Poison counted as physical damage. Only mags could handle these things. Then Little Nine popped out from my corpse. "Master, I'm hungry." I blinked. "You can eat these? But isn't your attack physical too?" Little Nine grinned confidently. "Of course I can." I waved him forward. "Fine, give it a shot. If it doesn't work, we run." In a flash, Little Nine shot into the undead horde, and soon their anguished screams filled the air. That's when I remembered. Little Nine came from the abyss. He was of the same dark essence as these creatures, but after evolving into the Abyss Lord, his very nature overpowered them completely. I raised my hand and summoned my entire swarm. In just a couple seconds, every undead in the room was wiped out. My level shot up to 18, and I'd gained more than 500,000 experience points in seconds. This dungeon felt like it was made for me. I turned back to the strange portrait. The old man's grin was gone, replaced by an expression of pure terror. I pointed at it and asked Little Nine, "Think you can eat this one?" Before he could answer, the portrait exploded on its own. System prompt: "Congratulations. You have frightened to death an elite level 35 necrotic guardian. You gain 8,701 experience." Meanwhile, on the other side of the village, Ethan was struggling in the middle of a swarm. Without his specialized artifacts, he wouldn't have stood a chance. Even with them, the fight was brutal, and he worried about the others. Suddenly, his feed filled with notifications of shared experience from teammates killing undead. His eyes widened. Someone was clearing monsters at impossible speed. He thought of Claire's holy power, but even she couldn't one-shot undead like that. Could it be Autumn? If she was so strong, why had she come to Night Watch asking for help? But Autumn was in dire straits herself, her body shredded by undead claws. She despaired. She was a rare hidden class and hadn't yet earned her chance at the Prodigy camp. Was she really going to die here? Then she noticed undead nearby fleeing in terror, a terrifying aura approaching. Before she could react, another undead pounced, slamming her to the ground. She cried out helplessly for aid. I heard her and rushed over. Seeing me, her eyes widened in disbelief. She hadn't wanted to acknowledge my strength, but now I was her only hope. Without hesitation, I yanked her up and tossed her aside. She hit the ground with a thud and glared at me, until she saw what came next. I unleashed my swarm without restraint. Wherever they swarmed, the undead melted instantly. In just seconds, hundreds vanished into nothing. Autumn's face flushed red with shame. Moments ago, she had mocked me. Now her heart pounded as she realized the truth. Elsewhere, Ethan finally regrouped with Claire and Logan. All three were confused. The further they went, the fewer undead they encountered. They guessed Autumn must have had some hidden artifact suppressing them. Then Claire pointed down an alley. There are signs of battle here. Must have just ended. Ethan's face darkened. If Autumn had a treasure, then Jack was the one in real danger. We need to find him, fast. They searched alley after alley until they turned a corner, and froze in shock. There was Autumn Moore, the proud granddaughter of a legendary titled warrior, standing behind me with her head bowed, massaging my shoulders with utmost respect. The three exchanged bewildered looks. Autumn was notoriously arrogant, never bowing to anyone. How could she be serving me so meekly? Was this some kind of hallucination? At that moment, I looked up and spotted them. I stood to greet them, but they raised their weapons defensively. Don't move. Answer a few questions to prove who you really are. Autumn immediately spread her arms in front of me. What are you trying to do to Jack? I sighed and nudged her aside. Relax, Ethan. I get what you're worried about. Our leader's name is Jason. Aunt Tanya's cooking is the best. That's proof enough, isn't it? Only then did the three of them lower their guard. I led them back to the room I had cleared, where a massive undead monster was waiting. What appeared before us was a level 40 boss. Jason instantly stepped in front of the group, warning that this boss wouldn't be easy. I'll draw its aggro. The rest of you attack from range, but protect Jack at all costs. Once battle positions were set, the five of us spread out. But before anyone could strike, the undead leader suddenly dropped to its knees in front of me, bowing with shocking respect. Ethan's eyes went wide. He almost doubted his own sanity. Was a boss actually begging for mercy? I stepped forward calmly, gesturing for the others to retreat behind me. Then I released a thick cloud of poisonous mist, cutting them off completely. Without distraction, I waved my hand, summoning Little Nine in his full form. He devoured the undead leader whole. The system chimed. Boss defeated. My level jumped to 26. The dungeon was cleared. The others just stood there, stunned. A level 40 boss had died without even fighting back. So all those undead earlier, that was you. Logan muttered in disbelief. I rubbed the back of my head awkwardly. My poison just happens to counter them. Before anyone could press further, a prompt appeared before every teammate. Dungeon clear rating, SSS. Reward, necrotic medal. Effect: blocks 1 lethal strike. We looked around at the ground, littered with equipment and rare materials. I couldn't help but grin. This really was a level 30 dungeon. The loot drop rate was insane. The pile of gear alone was worth several fortunes. After sorting, I kept a platinum-grade shadow cloak. Its special effect allowed me to vanish into invisibility for 3 minutes, with a 2-hour cooldown. The rest, I planned to sell for resources to feed my swarm. Back at Nightwatch headquarters, Ethan reported everything. Commander Greg was floored when he learned I had led the team through the mutated dungeon. Once the others left, he waved them off, insisting on speaking with me alone. His expression grew grim. Jack, let's make this clear. Confess and you'll be treated lightly. Hide anything, and the punishment will be severe. A bead of cold sweat rolled down my temple. Confess? What is it you think I'm hiding? Greg's sharp eyes didn't waver. That excuse about your poison countering the undead? Don't insult me. Ethan and the others might buy it, but not me. Tell me the truth. What else are you concealing? I froze. It wasn't like I meant to hide things. But if I told him about Little Nine, about his abyssal nature, then the world would brand me a calamity. Seeing me tense up, Greg suddenly burst into laughter, clapping my shoulder. So you can get nervous, huh? Where's that fearless guy who cleared the whole dungeon alone? Don't worry. I know you've got your reasons for staying quiet. I won't push. The more trump cards you've got, the happier I'll be. After all, Nightwatch is counting on you to rise even higher. Then his face hardened again. But I do need you to understand one thing. He flicked his wrist, and 3 corpses wrapped in cursed bandages dropped heavily onto the ground. Each one of these is a Tier 3 master, level 60 and above. 2 of them are Tier 4 grandmasters over level 90. Honestly, I can't even handle one of them. I'd just end up collecting bodies. My jaw tightened. Wait, these assassins, did the Shaw family send them after me? Greg shook his head. You've stirred trouble, yes, but not enough for them to mobilize like this. No, this comes from the Great Shia Prodigy Hunt. Anyone who kills a ranked prodigy earns unimaginable rewards. The targets? The most gifted of your generation, all destined for the prodigy camps. Even Sean Shaw has signed up. And he'll be in the same Jiangnan sector camp as you. He explained further. The lowest rank on that list, number 100, is a descendant of the Wasp King. Someone you know, or more, holds the 77th spot. Countless masters already hunt her. Those corpses? Just some of them. I finally understood. So you're telling me to keep a low profile in the camp? Greg sighed heavily. Exactly. The more potential you show, the greater the danger. Every other prodigy has a powerful force backing them. But you need to survive by staying hidden. Never reveal your full strength unless absolutely necessary. Then he stroked his chin, smirking. With how you performed in Necrotic Village, if word got out, you'd be ranked for sure. But funny enough, Autumn kept her mouth shut. Didn't say a word. Protected your secret. His tone suddenly shifted into a teasing laugh as he leaned closer. So, tell me honestly, Jack, did something happen between you and Autumn? I flailed my hands quickly, backing away. I've got things to do. We'll talk later. Afterwards, I sold off the useless gear for Essence Blood. 33 units of Tier 3 Essence, and 14 units of Tier 4. Enough to fuel my swarm's expansion. I poured 1 vial over my summoning mark. Tier 3 Essence was equivalent to a level 60 Master's Core. 100 beasts had to be slain just to refine one. Tier 4 Essence was even rarer, drawn from level 90 Grandmasters. This was no small investment. The system chimed. Your swarm has begun reproducing. Under my divine talent, the process was instant. Within seconds, my swarm multiplied to 100,000 units, with a combat rating equal to a Tier 3 Grandmaster. I was ready. Tomorrow at Prodigy Camp, I'd reach level 30 and complete my second-class advancement. Meanwhile, at Nightwatch HQ, Commander Greg confided in Captain Tom. He admitted his worry, that the strange power inside me felt like something darker than poison, something akin to the ancient Calamity-class Devourers. Tom scoffed at the idea. Impossible. If Jack had awakened a forbidden class, it would have shown long ago. You must be imagining things. Greg said nothing more, though unease lingered in his eyes. The next morning, I set out for Prodigy Camp. On the way, I heard a faint cry for help. Looking up, I spotted an old man dangling awkwardly from a tree. I quickly cast Nature's Growth to rescue him. As soon as his feet hit the ground, the old man smiled warmly and asked what I wanted in return. All I need, I said honestly, is the road to Prodigy Camp. His eyes gleamed. In a flash, he bounded to my side. Perfect. I'm heading there myself. Walking with him, I noticed the heavy blade strapped to his back. Why not store it in a spatial ring? I asked curiously. The old man chuckled. Because I failed my class transfer. I'm no professional. After 10 years of scraping by, broke and hopeless, I retreated into the mountains to end it all. But instead, I found a hunter's cabin, and this blade. I trained with it every day, for decades. Eventually, I understood it. Now I live by the sword. Then his eyes lit up again. Say, boy, want me to teach you blade arts? I hesitated, caught off guard. He quickly waved it off. Think it over. If you ever want to learn, find me. Pointing ahead, he added, there it is, Prodigy Camp. Before I could thank him, his figure vanished like mist. At the gates, I received my identity bracelet. It could never be removed unless I was eliminated. Just as I prepared to step inside, two figures landed before me, Autumn Moore, and the guy who dumped her not long ago, Ryan Reed. Before anything could happen, a deafening crash echoed nearby. A towering officer with tattoos stormed over, snarling. Already fighting before even entering camp? You've got a death wish. The pressure radiating from him stunned me. Even the patrol instructors here were Tier 3 masters? But in the next instant, the officer was blasted back like a ragdoll. Ryan's smirk faltered as shock spread across his face. A Tier 3 master was blown back just by the shockwaves of the fight. What kind of monsters were even battling here? Autumn Moore, coming from a Sealed King family, naturally recognized them. These weren't ordinary fighters. They were the top elites of the Jiangnan War sector. The short-haired woman was Tang Ying, the youngest gold-ranked assassin from Heavenly Secrets Tower. Rumor had it she had just assassinated a Tier 4 Grandmaster in Sakura Nation not long ago. The red-haired man radiating a bloody aura was Blake White, nicknamed the Little God of Slaughter. He was the personal disciple of the East Sea Defense Line's Supreme Commander, one of the military's brightest prodigy seeds. But whispers claimed he was unstable, prone to slipping into madness. Then there was the blue-haired swordsman, none other than Nicholas Shaw's grandfather, one of Great Shia's 7 national guardians. His profession was the Azure Lotus Sword Immortal, a class on par with the Divine. When Logan saw Nicholas again, he felt sick to his stomach. The blade in Nicholas' hands had been stolen from his family. As the smoke cleared, I realized they weren't fighting each other at all. The three were working together, ganging up on a single opponent, James Invincible, heir of the Invincible bloodline. Rumors called him a triple-class wielder, and not just any 3 classes, but all hidden, all unique. Just then, Nicholas descended from the sky, his sword flashing with cold light. I quickly pulled Autumn and Ryan aside, barely dodging his strike. I heard that worthless Nicholas Yuanwu died by your hand, he sneered. I never thought much of him either, but you still disgraced the Shaw family. So today, you die here. I met his gaze without fear, my tone dripping with disdain. Different strength or not, the Shaws are rotten to the core. Greg had warned me to stay low profile, but in this situation, there was no choice but to fight. Better to strike once with everything than eat 100 blows later. Just as our clash was about to erupt, a razor-sharp blade aura sliced the air, tearing a deep trench across the ground in front of us. An old, familiar voice roared. I am the chief instructor of this Prodigy camp. Before the camp officially begins, anyone who dares stir up trouble, ask my blade first. My heart jolted. That eccentric old man I'd saved on the road. He was the chief instructor? Just one wave of his knife aura almost shattered my insect swarm. His power was terrifying. The opening ceremony began in a storm of whispers. Never in Jiangnan camp's history had a king-sealed powerhouse appeared as a witness. Even the 4 top prodigies clenched their jaws, hoping to catch the Heavenly Blade King's eye. I couldn't help but wonder, just how legendary was this man? Logan's face flushed with excitement, saying they had grown up on stories of the Heavenly Blade King, how he wasn't even a professional, yet crushed Tier 7 Wasp Kings, becoming the #1 man beneath the National Guardians. His strength rivaled Tier 8 veterans, and once, he had slain a dragon with a single strike. The old man stepped forward. I am Kaiden Gu, your chief instructor. As you all know, Jiangnan camp has fallen behind in recent years. Time waits for no one. We need prodigies who can fight, not just shine on paper. So I've set a new rule this year, a death quota. 10 prodigies can die each round of assessment. If anyone wishes to quit, leave now. The announcement set the camp ablaze. Nicholas smirked at me, as if this rule had been written for him alone. For me, though, it meant something else. If Nicholas ended up dead at my hands, it wouldn't be much of a problem. 2.5 minutes passed. No one quit. Kaiden smiled in satisfaction. Good. At least you all still have pride. Then let the assessment begin. There are 300 of you. Half will be eliminated this round. 150 advancement flags are hidden across camp. By 6 tomorrow morning, whoever holds a flag advances, by any means necessary. The crowd scattered, each with their own schemes. Nicholas, however, strode toward me, sword in hand. I told Logan and Autumn to find flags first. This fight was clearly meant for me. They knew my strength, and that staying would only slow me down. Nicholas sneered. A weakling stuck at second transfer, and you want to play hero? I ignored him, silently channeling venom into my staff. His sword aura was leagues beyond Nicholas Yuanwu's. The question was, could I beat him without revealing my swarm? He raised his blade, releasing a cutting arc of spiritual light. Just as I braced to block, a flying knife shattered the attack midair. Startled, I turned. It was Tang Ying from Heavenly Secrets Tower. Before Nicholas could react, Tang Ying stormed toward him. Nicholas Shaw, did you forget our agreement? We said we'd deal with James Invincible first. But you keep wasting time on petty grudges. Don't tell me you're afraid of James and just making excuses. Fury twisted Nicholas' face. He barked at Tang Ying to lead the way to James, swearing he'd deal with me afterward. I stood there confused, but couldn't shake the feeling that Tang Ying was deliberately helping me. Sure enough, as she walked away, she threw me a sly smile. Turns out she was Tanya's niece. Before camp began, Tanya had asked her to watch over me, but she wasn't strong enough to face Nicholas head-on, so she had to stall by dragging him toward James. On the way, a black-clad youth dropped to one knee before Nicholas. This was Henry Huang, descendant of a Tier 6 sovereign. He offered up 3 advancement flags, but Nicholas dismissed them arrogantly, ordering Henry to prove his loyalty by coming after me instead. Meanwhile, Logan and Autumn excitedly showed me the 2 flags they'd already found. I told them to keep them safe while I looked elsewhere. Just then, a blazing arrow shot toward us. I grabbed a table and flung it into the arrow's path as Autumn drew her twin blades to shield me. Floating above us, Henry leveled a longbow, readying another strike. Logan gasped. That's Henry Huang. Level 39, hidden profession, flame burst archer. His father's a sovereign under the shores. Before Logan finished, Henry loosed another arrow, wreathed in fire. I stepped forward, shielding the girls, venom flooding my staff. If you're Shaw's dog, don't blame me for being ruthless. Henry's eyes widened. Poison. Impossible. My intel said you were just a level 26 crafter. Too late. My venom engulfed him, erasing him in an instant. And that was when the announcement rang across the camp. Participant 091, Henry Huang, eliminated by Jack Chen. In the command center, Deputy Instructor Yang was stunned. A life-class hidden poison profession, instantly killing a Tier 2 combatant? Kaiden Gu, however, only muttered, broadcast it, and bring in some spatial grandmasters. If things get too heated, we'll need to pull these kids out before we lose real talent. Yang, who already hated the death quota, hurried to obey. But Kaiden wasn't done. He ordered Tier 3 peak beasts scattered across the camp, each carrying azure cloud flags. Let the monsters draw the bloodthirsty ones away from the weak, he said. Meanwhile, in the shadows, James Invincible was still battling Nicholas, Tang Ying, and Blake. Yet even 3-on-1, they couldn't scratch him. James only scoffed. The 3 of you together still can't touch me. Must I really kill you? Then the broadcast thundered again. Tier 3 peak beasts deployed. Each carries 3 azure cloud flags. Holding them grants bonus ranking weight. Final top 10 will be rewarded. First place, 100 million. Decreasing by 10 million per rank. At once, the 3 elites abandoned James and vanished in pursuit of the beasts. As for me, my heart pounded with excitement. Just entered camp, and already a chance at 100 million. If I could take first, plus the resources that would follow, wouldn't that mean they could repopulate again soon? While I was still thinking, a savage beast was dropped right beside us. Autumn quickly whispered a warning. Tier 3 peak beast, comparable to an 80 or 90 level Grandmaster. Logan stared at the trembling limbs of the beast, guessing it was still paralyzed. Maybe we can finish it off now. Before his words faded, I was already sprinting toward the beast. But just then, a sword beam split the air, crashing down from above. Nicholas Shaw walked forward at a leisurely pace, sneering. I underestimated you. Not only did you kill Henry Huang in an instant, but you even dare compete for the Azure Cloud Flags. Today, I'll take care of you first. I had no interest in words. I swung my venom staff straight at him. Nicholas raised his hand, and with one strike, he split my staff clean in half. So that's why you're so arrogant. You've got a hidden poison class. They say poison types are troublesome, but before my sword edge, they're nothing. I summoned my venom again, shaping it into a dragon that charged at him. But when his sword aura tried to cut it apart, it didn't scatter. His face changed. He slashed his sword across, clearly about to unleash his profession skill. In the next instant, a massive azure lotus bloomed in the sky, sucking my venom dragon inside. But what Nicholas didn't know was that this venom was actually Little Nine's true form. His sword aura was nothing but a snack. In the blink of an eye, the sword energy was devoured, and the venom dragon exploded from within the lotus, shattering it into pieces. Nicholas was blasted back by the backlash, staring at the poison dragon in disbelief. He couldn't understand how his sword aura had been erased by such strange poison. But I knew, if even Nicholas Yuan Wu had the protection of fate, how could Nicholas Shaw not? His protection was even stronger. I turned to Logan. Can you make a solid, opaque earth shield to cover the whole area? He nodded and immediately raised a massive barrier that enclosed the battlefield. Of course, I did this to conceal Little Nine's existence. With her current power, breaking that shield was only a matter of time. In the command center, my actions made the staff nervous. They ordered a Tier 4 Space Grandmaster to keep his mental power locked on me. The moment my life force weakened, he would teleport me away. But Kaiden Gu only remained calm. What? A National Guardian's grandson can't be injured. Can't die. Yang, flustered, protested. If Nicholas really dies here, are you ready to face General Shaw? Does Commander Duan of Jiangnan know about this? Even if we've sealed all information from leaving the camp, Once it ends, the truth will spread. Kaiden only looked thoughtful. Was I truly able to kill Nicholas? And why go to such lengths to hide it first? Before I could ponder further, the paralyzed beast beside us woke up. I had no choice but to unleash my full strength, letting Little Nine fight freely. I also released all the swarm from my hive, sending them to shield her while swarming the beast. Normally, breaking Nicholas' fate shield would take Little Nine 3 minutes. Now, only 3 seconds. Just as the shield was about to shatter, a voice entered my mind. Don't push it too far. That's when I realized the instructors were watching with spatial artifacts. I quickly recalled Little Nine and had one of my insects self-destruct, while the rest dissolved into venom mist to cover my tracks. The explosion raised a massive mushroom cloud. Nicholas' shield and Logan's earth shield were both destroyed in an instant. Unfortunately, Nicholas was pulled out by a Grandmaster at the last second. Only his severed arm remained on the ground. Even so, Yang was furious in the command center, scolding the Space Grandmaster, Fang. Why didn't you teleport Nicholas in time? Fang looked helpless. That poison was too vicious. The moment I probed with my spiritual sense, it was corroded. Yang's face twisted with rage. Nonsense. Poison can't corrode mental power. If you want to shirk responsibility, at least come up with a better excuse. Kaiden slammed his palm on the table, snarling, Shut up, Yang. Do you know why you've been stuck at peak tier 5? It's because of your cowardice. You can't even pass your own heart's trial. Just now you cried about the consequences of offending a national guardian. Let me tell you, even invincible tier 9s can die on the battlefield. What's one Nicholas Shaw compared to that? Yang's face turned pale, but he tried again. Still, General Shaw. Commander Duan doesn't know about this yet. I'll inform him right now. You handle things inside, but outside, no leaks until the exam ends. No one leaves camp. Kaiden went straight to Commander Duan Xinghai of Jiangnan. But instead of mentioning Nicholas, he cast a seal over the entire command room. Old Duan, you've seen much. Tell me, can poison really corrode spiritual power? Duan laughed. In theory, maybe. But it's nearly impossible. Poison works on the physical body. Mental power comes from the soul and thought. Even a peak tier 4 poison king I know couldn't corrode it. He squinted at Kaiden's urgency. Don't tell me, the Prodigy camp has birthed a terrifying poison demon. Kaiden ignored the question. What if the poison itself had consciousness? Duan immediately shook his head. Impossible. Poison can't have self-awareness. Unless, it's not poison at all, but a disguise. Then he remembered something. Wait, in ancient records, there was mention of a calamity beast, the Scarlet Nine Zhong. It could take on venom form. Born in the Nine Hells, it once caused an apocalyptic disaster. Kaiden's face turned grim. Duan thought he was scared and quickly added, Relax. That species went extinct long ago. There's no way it exists now. But Kaiden had already torn space open, muttering, A calamity beast. No wonder he nearly killed Nicholas. Jack Chen, a divine-class lifecrafter alone would put you in the top 3 of the hunter's list. And you still hide something like this? In Great Shia, that's enough to have your head cut off. He cursed Greg under his breath. That brat, saying I should take Jack as a disciple. He just wanted me to clean up his mess. Still, Kaiden didn't care about taboos. A blade can slaughter the world, or protect it. It all depends on the wielder. But to be sure, he decided to have his senior disciple, Nina, investigate thoroughly. By the time Kaiden returned, the assessment was nearly over. News of Nicholas' defeat at my hands had spread. The prodigies were dumbfounded, and James Invincible's interest in me only grew. Meanwhile, Little Nine had reached level 22 after devouring her third beast. I was still celebrating her growth when a giant fist shadow suddenly crashed down from the sky. Before I could counter, Logan and Autumn stepped in front of me with their shields. But they shattered instantly. I had no choice but to summon my venom, letting it devour the fist shadow. James Invincible, watching, raised an eyebrow. He hadn't expected even his fist technique to be absorbed. No wonder the other prodigies were already calling me the Poison King. Still, the force sent me skidding back 2.5 meters. I couldn't help but acknowledge, Hunter's List rank 3 was well deserved. Cutting straight to the point, I asked, You here to steal the beast? James smirked. Don't misunderstand. I'm just curious. I want a duel. A real one, life on the line. In the next instant, he clenched his fist and unleashed shattering 1,000 blades, punching straight at me. His strike ripped through my venom as if tearing paper. Under the force of that strike, I had no choice but to stagger backward. At the same time, I asked Little Nine if she could directly swallow James Invincible. Her answer was a firm no. She admitted that, for now, she still wasn't his match. It was the first time I had ever seen Little Nine so uncertain. Left with no better option, I quickly switched to another plan. I unleashed life flourishes, summoning countless vines that wove together, forming a massive sphere around us. James, far from retreating, only grew more excited, making no move to dodge. In the command center, the instructors noticed me blocking their probes again and urgently ordered Fang, the Space Grandmaster, to prepare for immediate rescue. But this time, I didn't bother to hide the swarm's true form. In an instant, I directed them to rush James. Yet he showed not the slightest fear. With both hands he slammed the ground, and countless fountains of energy erupted upward, smashing apart my insect broodlings. But that wasn't my real objective. In the chaos, I commanded 2 broodlings to slip through and reach James. At my signal, they self-destructed. Still, James's strength far outstripped someone like Henry Shao. A single broodling had been enough to kill Henry. 2 exploding at once couldn't even scratch James. On the contrary, his attacks only grew fiercer. Though I hated to sacrifice my broodlings, I grit my teeth and commanded 10 more to charge and self-detonate. The massive explosion tore apart the vines I had summoned, yet still failed to cause him any real harm. As I prepared to cast life flourishes again to wrap the battlefield, James simply cut down every vine that reached for him. Then, calmly, he declared, "The fight's over. Jack Chen, I acknowledge you as my rival. Your only first turn, yet you forced me to use 70% of my strength. I look forward to facing you again." With that, he turned to leave. "There's one last beast. You should be able to handle it. I'm a bit tired, so I'll go get some sleep." I couldn't help but be surprised. Autumn, equally baffled, asked him why he was letting me take first place. James just smiled, saying he had no such intention. He was simply sleepy. His words made me grind my teeth. What a show-off. I wasn't the kind of fool who'd let pride get in the way of benefits. As long as there was something to gain, I wouldn't refuse it. Meanwhile, Fang, who had been monitoring the battle with his spiritual power, collapsed into unconsciousness, his mind corroded too badly by my venom. At the same time, the Bee King of 7 Talons and the powerhouse Hong Nian, following their master the Heavenly Blade King's orders, reached a hidden site. There they found a stone monument recording information about the ancient insect clans. By feeding it a divine stone, they could read every detail of those long-extinct creatures. After careful searching, Nian finally uncovered the records of the Scarlet Nine Zhong. What he read left him pale with shock. The Scarlet Nine Zhong's poison could corrode all things, whether flesh, spirit, or even the void itself. Its traits matched exactly what his master had described. To think the future rival he had once glimpsed truly carried such a monstrous power. Back in the Prodigy camp, I hunted down the final beast and handed 2 azure cloud flags to Logan and Autumn, letting them secure advancement without lifting a finger. I already had 10 flags, enough for first place. As the assessment neared its end, I quickly released my broodlings to devour the corpses of the slain beasts. For them, this was the finest feast imaginable. Meanwhile, Henry Shao, already eliminated, was desperate to return home and beg his grandfather, Grand General Shao Zeng, to take revenge for him. By 6 o'clock sharp, Kaiden Gu announced that the qualifiers would now proceed to the Forbidden Zone trial. His words instantly stirred an uproar. Never before had the Jiangnan War Zone organized such a group trial in the Forbidden Zone. In the next moment, Kaiden drew his blade. With one swing, the entire Prodigy camp lifted into the air. The blade grew colossal, carrying the camp straight toward the Yunmeng Marsh Forbidden Zone. Kaiden was in such a rush because he had just received word from Nian Hongyao. With the Shao family's power, they would soon discover the truth about the Scarlet Nine Zhong. Once they did, all of Great Xia would know. Kaiden intended to buy time inside the Forbidden Zone and seek allies before that happened. On the way there, Logan and Autumn explained the Yunmeng Marsh to me. Though ranked lowest among the 8 Forbidden Zones, its terror lay in distorted time and space. The area was filled with countless dimension fragments, some of them even larger than entire cities. These fragments drifted endlessly, making it easy to get lost forever, but they also hid incredible opportunities. One transferor once entered the marsh just to gamble his luck. In only 2 hours of outside time, he emerged a 7-turn powerhouse. But according to him, he had lived 200 years inside. Meanwhile, Commander Du and Xinghai received Kaiden's message. He was puzzled by Kaiden's urgency. Even if a prodigy with invincible potential had appeared, there was no need for such haste, unless Kaiden was hiding, or running from something. Suddenly, Duan recalled Kaiden's earlier words and connected them to the ancient calamity beast, the Scarlet Nine Zhong. Elsewhere, at the Night Watcher base, Ji Gang received his master Kaiden's instructions. To protect me, Kaiden ordered him to seek out the Bee King Alliance for support. Without hesitation, Ji Gang swore that even if he had to deceive them, he would win me more allies. Back in the Prodigy camp, Nian Hongyao returned to his master's side. With a serious face, he asked, "Master, could you kill a national guardian in one strike?" Kaiden could only sigh. He had built a lifetime of reputation, yet somehow ended up with such bizarre disciples. Nian was reckless, always crying for blood. Ji Gang was stubborn to the core. And me, a divine-class lifecrafter, insisted on playing with bugs. Still, when Nian asked why Kaiden was so determined to protect me, Kaiden replied casually, "Maybe it's just a matter of taste." He had taken Nian as a disciple simply because he wore red clothes that looked festive. He had picked Ji Gang at random, mistaking him for a shady client at a brothel and finding it amusing. He even let Ji Gang risk his life once to protect him. Now, with me, it was the same. He did whatever felt right in the moment. Nian suggested a safer way: seek the help of one of Great Xia's 3 Invincibles, the highest commander of its military, James Invincible's grandfather, the martial god, James Xuani. At that moment, in the depths of the battlefield, Xuani was already fighting with world-shaking power, forcing invading outsiders to retreat in fear. As a 9-turn invincible martial god, no one dared face him head-on. Suddenly, he received a message from his grandson James. But when he answered, the figure that appeared wasn't James, it was Kaiden Gu. Without wasting words, Kaiden admitted he wanted to strike a deal. He revealed that his new disciple carried the legendary Scarlet Nine Zhong and asked Xuani to protect my life. The martial god only snorted coldly. In Great Xia, all calamity beasts are to be slain without mercy. That's not for me alone to decide. Kaiden pressed him. Is it really impossible? You must have heard of the Grand Illusory Hall inside Yunmeng Marsh. I'm the only one who knows the way. If you agree, I'll take James there and grant him a fortune. At that, James Xuani's heart stirred. The Grand Illusory Hall was a legendary treasure ground of the heavens itself. If one could enter, the benefits would surely be immense. After some thought, James Xuani agreed, but only on one condition. The Great Xia Prodigy tournament was about to begin, and I had to take first place in that battle without ever using the Scarlet Nine Zhong. If I failed, he would throw me into the abyss and leave me to fend for myself. Kaiden Gu could only nod helplessly. Dying on the battlefield of 10,000 races was still better than dying at the hands of the Shao family. In truth, Xuani believed the Scarlet Nine Zhong could never again cause a calamity on the scale of ancient times. Besides, this catastrophe had already produced 3 divine-class professions. I was merely the 4th, and only a life crafter at that. In his eyes, without using that beast, I couldn't even surpass his grandson, let alone take first place. And as the martial god, he was utterly confident. Even if the Scarlet Nine Zhong did stir up chaos, he alone could uphold all of Great Xia and slaughter every evil in existence within moments. Meanwhile, as we traveled through the spatial passage toward Yunmeng Marsh, I sensed a disturbance in the world tree within my sea of consciousness. Entering the awareness space, I saw a red fruit hanging from its branches. The system informed me it was called the Replication Fruit. It could duplicate one ability from a chosen target, though the copied power might mutate, whether for better or worse depended entirely on luck. The only catch was that it had to be used within 3 hours. Though there were many prodigies around, I chose to target the old man Kaiden. He had once claimed he only knew a single blade technique. That meant no risk of drawing trash skills. Perfect. Soon, we arrived at the Taixu point, once trodden by the Dream God, one of the 3 9-turn invincibles. The trial here had 3 stages. The first was a staircase of 1,008 steps, each step offering a chance at heavenly rewards. The second was the Taixu Stele, reached only by the Dream God himself. The third was the Taixu Hall, which no one had ever entered. This final stage would also serve as the last assessment for the Prodigy camp, selecting the top 10 to represent the Jiangnan War Zone in the grand tournament of all 8 war zones. Hearing this, the other prodigies immediately rushed toward the heavenly ladder. Logan, Autumn, and the others steadied themselves, seeking the perfect condition before beginning. I took that moment to consume the fruit, choosing Kaiden Gu as my target. The system immediately notified me that his ability was being copied. True enough, he had only one technique. As the process finished, I was pulled into an illusion. There, I swung a blade endlessly. 10 years passed. 20 years. 40 years. My days contained nothing but practicing that single slash. At last, I reached the realm where man and blade became one. Not only had I mastered the heaven-splitting slash, I had broken it down into 4 variations. My fortune spiked, triggering the fruit's amplification effect. In that instant of perfection, even Nian Hongyao's blade heart resonated with mine. Astonishingly, so did Kaiden Gu's. Hong Yarrow was shaken. Ji Gang had once tried his whole life to deconstruct the heaven-splitting slash, yet never succeeded, leaving him stuck at 3 turns. But just now, that fleeting aura made him wonder if his junior had actually done it. Kaiden, however, dismissed the strange fluctuation he sensed as nothing but an illusion of the Taixu Hall. By then, I had already stepped onto the staircase. Nian Hongyaro watched eagerly. Back then, he had barely reached the 301st step, while Ji Gang only made it to 298. The first 300 steps tested spiritual strength, dragging challenges into endless illusions. Seeing me still on the very first step, both Kaiden and Hongyaro grew worried. Unlike other prodigies, I had not grown up nourished by rare treasures. Sure enough, I was quickly ensnared in illusions. My emotions nearly collapsed, until the world tree within me shattered them with ease. With its protection, every illusion vanished like smoke. Climbing the ladder became as easy as walking a garden path. On each step, I gained 5 fragments of star essence, pieces worth tens of millions outside. Once complete, they could raise skill levels directly. The crowd was dumbstruck by my pace. Soon I reached the 299th step, where 3 others were stuck. Every 300 steps marked a bottleneck, each one far harder to surpass. After that, each step doubled the crushing weight on one's body. Just then, chains manifested behind Logan Jiang. As they shattered, my divine profession resonated with his, proving he too was divine class. Empowered, he stepped onto the 300th step and received a reward of heavenly chi. Logan then smugly began sharing his insights with us, only for me to leap past him before he could finish. His face twisted in disbelief, as if wondering whether he had climbed a false staircase. Before I could check my reward, Little Nine shoved me forward, claiming something he wanted lay further above. The others, refusing to fall behind, unleashed their trump cards to break their bottlenecks. In no time, I stood atop the summit. Releasing my broodlings, I let them swarm the Taixu Stele. To Hong Yao's utter shock, the entire monument vanished without a trace. Even Kaiden Gu was astounded. The others, unable to ignore the heavenly ladder, only made it to the 600th step. Hong Yao sighed. This new generation had already far surpassed his own. Still, he wondered why I lingered above for so long. The truth was, within my consciousness I was examining the Stele. Little Nine clung to it and instantly leveled up several times, his Devour stat soaring. The Stele had this effect because it was half-born of the Abyss itself. As the Abyss Lord, Little Nine naturally benefited greatly. Now that I possessed it, I was recognized as sole master of the Taixu Realm, free to teleport there at any time. Curious though I was about the hall within, the place was crowded with eyes. I decided to explore later. Yet as soon as I stepped away, Kaiden approached. He was puzzled. Why could even the Dream God only observe the Stele, yet my Scarlet Nine Zhong had taken it away? At the mention of Scarlet Nine Zhong, my nerves tensed, fearing he might strike me down. But he was simply curious. I explained that both Little Nine and the Stele belonged to the Abyss, which allowed it. He didn't press further. Instead, he gave me two choices: remain hidden in Yunmeng Marsh forever, or take him as my master and fight our way back together. I chose the second without hesitation. Though burdened by calamity, I had only ever killed the wicked. In my heart, I had nothing to regret. Kaiden burst into laughter, saying I was far superior to Ji Gang. Once, Ji Gang had courted the Shao family's bride-to-be and nearly been executed by a national guardian. Kaiden had urged him to fight to the death, but Ji Gang, unwilling to implicate his master, had chosen exile instead. This time, Kaiden vowed, when we returned to Jiangnan, no matter if it was the 7-turn B-King or even an 8-turn rival, his blade would carve me a path forward.